Hi, I'm Karen Cashin, CEO of Tech Alpharetta, and this is our podcast series, Driving Innovation, where we explore the people and companies driving innovation in the city of Alpharetta. And today I'd like to welcome our podcast guest, Valarie Mackey, founder and CEO of WrightNow Solutions. Valarie, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's great to have you here. So, Fortune 100 leader turned entrepreneur.
Yes.
Very successful entrepreneur. It's a great story, and what a journey.
It has been.
Yeah. You started your career as what? Industrial engineer.
I have an industrial engineering degree and started that for a little while and decided tech was my path and switched over.
And so your career began at EY, is that right?
Yes. EY many years ago as a consultant and kind of went through the traveling consulting ranks for several years and enjoyed it, learned a lot, did a lot of cutting edge technology and then decided it's time to get off the road.
Okay, and from there you went to Coca-Cola,
Correct.
right here in Atlanta.
So I came home, been at EY for so many years. I was still living here in Atlanta, but was only here on the weekends.
Right.
And wanted to find a company in Atlanta where I could build a career, and what better place than the Coca-Cola company. So
Absolutely.
Spent many years there.
And what was your role there at Coca-Cola?
I was what they called a global solutions leader. And what that meant was I had responsibility for the technology solutions to enable our business functions. So for me in particular, I was responsible for like our human resources systems, our legal, sustainability, public affairs. So a lot of the enterprise functions working with our clients across the globe. So over the 200 countries. 200
countries. That is a huge level of responsibility.
Making sure all 200 countries operate the same way, global footprint. And so pretty interesting role, pretty busy around the clock.
I would imagine so. So you had a team where there were a lot of travel involved in that as well, since it was global?
It was interesting travel. So I had a team in the Philippines. So I went to the Philippines a bit and Africa, the Ukraine. So really interesting travels. Chile, Brazil, Mexico. So a lot of teams in a lot of different places. It was really great. I love the diversity of going to the different places and working with the teams.
And so what would you say were some of your biggest learnings from your time at Coke?
Wow. I learned that diverse people, I said like working around the globe, can bring so many different perspectives. And it really takes a diverse mindset and diverse thoughts to give the best solution. So those were the things. I mean, it's an amazing brand. So I learned a little bit about branding and marketing a bit, tried to take those skills away. But I increased my, leadership skills, definitely a breadth of technology skills and just the relationships there. It's a relationship company. So understanding the value of relationships and building people up.
Wow, what a great opportunity. And somewhere along the line there, you got married, you had kids as well. So you were doing the juggle.
Yes, which is a juggle, and still a juggle.
Yes, absolutely.
Will always be.
Yes.
Yes, I did.
And so would you say you've always had entrepreneurial leanings, or did those desires bubble up somewhere along the line in your career journey?
It definitely bubbled up. That wasn't the career path for me. So I intended to climb the corporate ladder and be in the C-suite and the traditional path. I mean, that was kind of my aspirations, was to be at a corporate C-suite. Now, my father is an entrepreneur, so I had it in my blood, I guess.
Yeah.
But it wasn't my path, I didn't think. But yeah, he was franchise owner of a Sears store, and so I kind of saw him do the entrepreneur and always having to be on because it's yours. And even vacations, so I'm like, that looks a little consuming.
Yes.
But then as I was at Coke, they had this really nice entrepreneurship program, commercialization program to help tech startups. And they asked me to be a part of that. And so in helping those tech startups, and then they tapped me to run a youth entrepreneurship program where I help youth and young adults with tech skills and entrepreneurship skills and trying to get them going into that path of understanding you can have a career or you can have, entrepreneurship. And that kind of got me bubbling like, wait a minute, this whole entrepreneurship thing that I'm talking to them about is pretty cool. Why don't I try it?
Okay.
And so really that's what started it is actually being a part of corporate, but helping tech startups or helping with entrepreneurship skills and deciding this is something I wanted to pursue. So 5 years ago, I decided this is my time. Let me try to go out and kind of push the needle into things I felt that were really important to me.
And you make that sound like an easy decision. Was it an easy decision? There's always a lot of risk inherent in going from corporate to entrepreneurship.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because, you're on someone else's dime when you're in someone's company, and you're trying things and doing things on someone else's dime.
Right.
And
you know you've got a paycheck
that was
coming
cushy. Yeah, you were going to get paid, and you had other things, wonderful, bonuses and everything else that came along with that corporate environment. And on your own, I mean, if you don't sell, if you don't make something happen, then you don't eat. And then, I grew a team, so I have a wonderful team, and I have to make sure their family, has a meal and a place to stay as well. Right. And so
you have that responsibility now.
It's a huge responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
So no, it definitely was not a decision that I could take lightly. And it hasn't been an easy journey at all. But rewarding. The work that we do makes it very, very rewarding. So it was a risk, and but I'm glad I took the chance.
Now, tell me a little bit about WrightNow Solutions and what you're focused on as a company.
Sure. So WrightNow Solutions is more of a talent development firm. We work with organizations to see what their priorities are. And then we align our learning experiences to make sure the people are equipped to handle these priorities in their roadmap.
Okay.
So we want the companies to be successful and kind of win this war on talent. But we want the people to be successful, and so they can thrive and move up their career ladder. It's been really interesting. A lot of my focus, and you mentioned Coca-Cola when I was there, I wanted to see more people kind of grow through a technology industry. We tend to, a lot of industries, a lot of technology tend to have more upper level and thought leaders and from very specific schools. And I wanted to see a more diverse group of folks in technology in particular. And so about 50% of our business works with nonprofits and the community, economic development, to create workforce development programs to help more non-traditional talent get into corporate.
And so is that tech training programs primarily, certification programs?
Exactly. Okay. So we would run, maybe a 4-month program where they get technology skills, and that can range anything from web development to Salesforce to Cisco to AWS to cloud computing. And so we've been very fortunate to form partnerships with the educational arms of a lot of companies, AWS, Cisco, Palo Alto, VMware, and so forth. And so we can get people credentialed in those areas. But what I also saw and what I learned from Coke was some of the things that made people successful or not wasn't actually the technology skills. Right. It was a professional development. It was the soft skills,
right? It's huge.
That was huge, right? So, and we say soft skills, and I really think it's like the essential skill.
It's not so soft at all. Right. I know. I'm not sure that's the right term, but it's stuck.
That's the one that sticks. But so everything we do, we make sure we do the technology, but also weave into many hours of the professional development, because I felt like that was a barrier. That was what kept people from getting in the door, and definitely from being promoted. And we do that, and because, like I said, we work with non-traditional, meaning veterans, or you don't have a degree because you didn't have access and opportunity at the time, or you have a degree and it didn't work out, or you end up doing something different. So it could be adults of any age, and a lot of times what we see is we are able to, within that 4 months or whatever, double and triple people's salary.
Which is just life-changing for them, right?
It's huge.
Yes.
So we do financial literacy, too, because we want them to not get this and, blow through it, but understand
learn to manage
what it means. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that helps us every day know why we come to work at WrightNow Solutions.
What a purpose. A real sense of purpose, because you are changing people's lives.
That's what we hope.
Yes. Yes. So nonprofits and other organizations, and then do you also provide any services to enterprise companies, for example?
Exactly. Just like we were talking about with the organizations and their priorities, we're looking at that saying, hey, we could come in and reskill the folks that you have so that you don't have to actually restructure out. We can just reskill up. and making sure that they have whatever capabilities you need that's along your roadmap, because technology does change.
Yeah.
And so people have to be reskilled.
Yeah.
And so we work with the
it.
organizations to keep those people where they need to be. And sometimes it's the tech skills, sometimes it's emotional intelligence skills, sometimes it's management skills, sometimes it's leadership skills.
Right.
How do you communicate with my team? So whatever those capabilities are in an enterprise that we need to help them with to make sure their organization runs smoothly, that's exactly what we come in to do.
And I would think that there's probably always demand, but especially with today's talent wars and everybody looking for skilled workforce, that there must be a tremendous demand for that kind of upskilling training within a company.
Yeah, it is a big need, because even if you look at the other programs that we run from the community, those folks are coming from somebody's company. Right? So why not just have it inside of your own company? And whether that's somebody that was doing, mainframe, and now we're doing training them on cloud computing, or they're a database administrator and now we're training them on, whatever the enterprise solution is, or if that was a person in customer service. Yeah. That was a high potential and really kind of killing it in customer service. Yeah. Well, that person may have a niche that they can do, or somebody in supply chain, and somebody in the warehouse may actually be ready to kind of step up and do another role, and giving those folks a shot, which means a lot to people with career. I mean, it instills some morale that you will have an employee that is so committed to your organization because you've been committed to them, right?
Right.
And
you're giving them these opportunities by investing in them, right? So it's kind of a win-win then for the company and the employee in those situations.
That's what we think.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I love what you're doing.
And we do too. Thank you. And so in enterprises, we also are trying, making sure there's an alliance, because there's so many different places. You have people in the community, like we said, the non-traditional talent. Right. We have people from the colleges, so we work with colleges to help them as well. So there's a feeder from the colleges. We go in and we do a lot around with the college students. How do you kind of navigate this corporate landscape? And we do a lot with
some business skills.
Because you have your degree, but it doesn't mean you're ready for the workforce.
No, rarely.
So what I also saw is people came from college, but were still, kind of walking around on their phone, on whatever video platform, be it FaceTime or Duo or whatever, and that's not appropriate, right? So, but they don't know.
Nobody's ever told them that. They've never been in that environment.
So we work with colleges to make sure they understand. We work with them to make sure they're ready for their interviews. Okay. We do a lot of video recorded interviews for them, so they can see themselves, and we talk through their process of how to do a great interview so they can land the right job.
Right. Wow. So what plans for the future for the company? Do you think you want to continue to grow do you want to grow to enterprise level? You want to, stay mid-market? Do you want to exit? Ultimately, what's the long-term plan here?
The long-term plan is to scale and do this at a larger level. Now, we do work with mid-size and enterprise level companies. Like next week, we have a retreat, a leadership retreat, actually, for the CIO and his directs. And so we are doing a lot to help with enterprise and help raise capabilities. Like I said, whatever level it is, we're really trying to work with companies. But to do more in the space of helping companies keep their people and reskill internally is something we want to make sure we do. And but we love kind of the nonprofit world. Like I always love the nonprofit world and kind of economic development. Yeah. But we really do want to look at, because this war on talent is so big and companies are really struggling with turnover right now and recruitment right now. We do see a really big opportunity to help companies think through what their career development paths are going to be for people within their companies.
Right, which is, I would think, something that they hadn't necessarily thought through in the past.
Well, it was easy to
map
find
that
people.
out. Yeah.
It was easy to hire and get a new person. It's not that. That market is really tough. And so now I think working with them through a strategy of how do we do that and diversify and really create a culture where people want to be. And that was another thing we did too a few years ago is, we train a lot of talent so we can kind of diversify people's organizations, but we need to make sure that we work with the organizations to make sure they have an environment that is inclusive
Right,
and
that there's full
creates a place of
buy-in.
belonging.
Yes.
Right? So because we can do all the preparing in the world.
Yeah.
But if your policies at your companies don't align with making sure you have the environment that people feel like they're included,
Yeah.
then us trying to go around and boost equity and education doesn't matter.
Exactly.
And that is working with folks and companies through their DEI strategies and programs they have in place to make sure they create those environments. Also, it seems like it's a whole lot more that we're doing, but
you're doing a tremendous amount.
Has been a heavy space for us in the past several years too.
I can
is
imagine.
making sure we work with diversity, equity, inclusion.
Right, and you live in Alpharetta. Your company's based in Alpharetta.
Yeah.
Tell me, why Alpharetta?
Well, because I do live in Alpharetta, and even thinking from a legacy perspective, I've been here for 10 years now. And my kids are here, and I'm very involved in their school. So even in their elementary school, I was involved in their PTA, and they're in high school now, and I'm involved in their PTSO. And so working with young people and making sure there's a place where they can go.
Yeah.
And Alpharetta is growing. There's so many companies here. I mean, it's right in my backyard. Why would I have to go anywhere else? There's so many tech companies here.
So true.
There's a lot of folks that I feel like WrightNow Solutions can help in the Alpharetta area. We do
absolutely.
The talent is here, it's growing. So I want to be a part of my community. I'm a part of Tech Alpharetta.
Yes, we're glad you joined our board recently.
So happy to be on the Tech Alpharetta board and actually being able to just see what we can do to provide value to our community.
That's wonderful. Last question for you. I'm curious, what impact, if any, has the pandemic had on your business?
I thought at the beginning it was going to really be a damper on our business because we do a lot of training and a lot of coaching in person.
Right. It used to be all in person, right?
Exactly. So I was in the car riding around every day to whatever client and, going and doing, even in the evening. So we do evening sessions, we do daytime sessions.
Right.
Always going somewhere. And I will say at the beginning, it was troubling because people were counseling sessions. We would have
That's a little
leadership
nerve-wracking.
retreats, and they were counseling, and people were canceling things that we had already booked up. But then, it was more, hey, we can do this virtually, right?
Yeah.
And so then the world of virtual came. And then instead of having just these classes in the metro Atlanta area, we would have people join our sessions from Arizona and Texas and California. And so, now we are doing, and now we're doing more like consumer base where we usually work with organizations.
Interesting.
You can go on our website and you can take classes if you want to get web development or you want to get Scrum or Six Sigma. We're doing it directly with the consumer, and that consumer can be from anywhere.
Right. So now you have a national business.
Exactly. So now it really has helped us do what we want to do without limit. So I'm actually thankful.
Good. There's a great silver lining for the business in this for you. Yeah. Well, Valarie, I know we're about out of time here. So first, I just want to congratulate you on building this successful company and a company with a purpose, an inspiring purpose that's really moving the needle and making a difference.
Thank you.
And thanks for taking the time to share with us today.
Well, I was glad to be here. And thank you again for having me and for having me a part of Tech Alpharetta. I love it.
Absolutely. Thanks.